Shot 6, World Championship skier Lindsey Vonn.
I was fortunate enough to be commissioned by Sports Illustrated to shoot this portrait of Lindsey Vonn in the Austrian Alps. Now, what seems like a very straightforward shoot actually was quite difficult. Now, in many of my photographs, the most difficult element isn't the photography, it's what goes in behind the picture. This is lit very simply, and I'm going to talk about the lighting in a moment. But the real challenge was to get Lindsey to a really beautiful location away from her training camp where we could get a real true feeling of the Austrian Alps. So the journalist had to interview her. She had to finish her training, which left only a very short period of time for me to do the picture. It meant Lindsey getting the last cable car to the top of the mountain so we could do this shot. It meant I had to go up in advance all by myself to set the shot up and work it out. But when you're on your own, you're working with lights, it can be a little difficult. So I use a technique which I frequently use all the time. When you're working on a budget, you haven't always got a team with you. So you find your own team. In this case, I used tourists who were passing by to help me hold the light and even to be a body double for certain shots like these. All this meant that when Lindsey came up the mountain, we had just 15 minutes to do this shot, and I knew I was going to get it. So let's have a look at the lighting. Well, it's a mistake. That's the first thing I'm going to tell you. Something didn't happen that was meant to happen. I meant to light this shot with my Chimera medium softbox, this time with an Elenchrom Quadra. Now the Quadra is a small light flash, which means you can easily fly with it, and it packs a power of 400 watts. So it's a good punchy unit. And I put that through the Chimera medium softbox. But what I wanted to do was put a backlight on Lindsey's head. Now in the one shot where Lindsey was perfectly posed, the backlight in here didn't fire. And you know what? It's all the better for it. In some of the shots where the flash went, her expression isn't right, and this one simple light over here, around 45 degrees, works perfectly. If you notice, I've got it to key her face in towards the light, and we've got this very steely look. Now for the exposure. Instead of shooting with a big medium format camera, I shot with my Canon 5D Mark II. Why? Well, it's a brilliant camera. For my money, it's the best camera ever made because it's small, it's light, it shoots great stills and great moving images in a great package. And what I did, I exposed this at a 250th of a second at 50 ISO. Now, I did that because I wanted the sky to go deep blue. When you use the low setting on a Canon 5D Mark II, it actually delivers less quality, but I wasn't too bothered by that because the difference is only really small. And what I wanted was to underexpose the background. So I exposed this shot at a 250th of a second at f/18, 50 ISO with the 24 to 105 lens. I really like prime lenses, but zooms are great for traveling. You may notice I said a 250th of a second. And with studio flash, with some studio flash anyway, the 5D Mark II will only synchronize at 125th, or if you're lucky, a 200th. But I used a 250th because I wanted everything to go dark. Now, when you do this, you get a black line in the area where the flash isn't catching on the CCD. But what I did, I used the camera and it's catching just here. The black line is appearing down the bottom here in an area which isn't of vital importance. What I then did a double process on the whole image because though Lindsey's perfectly exposed, a lot of this area in here was very dark. So I did a layer mask and I pulled the background back in Capture One RAW by 2 stops. So we're getting lots of detail in this area. A simple shot, simply executed, but the real challenge in this was getting all the permissions, and the photography was actually the easy part. And Lindsey, as you can see, was a dream to work with. She went on to win the Olympic gold as well in downhill skiing. Well deserved, a remarkable woman. If you've enjoyed this story and it's been helpful to you, why not check out the others in the series? You might find some great hints and tips which will help you take your photography to the next level. Thanks for watching.